All right, Kev, it's time for one of our staple segments. It's the flip side, but it's kind of weird because obviously Demp is not here today, so I'm going to make you argue against yourself. Atlanta has won 9 of their last 10. They have homered in 22 consecutive games, tied for the 3rd longest streak in club history. They sit atop the NL East with a comfortable 8-game lead over the Marlins. They can hit, they can pitch. Are the Braves the best team in baseball right now? This is hard.
This is a very hard flip side because looking at the Braves and right now, and they've dominated everybody, they've hit home runs. I saw the Marlins sweep the Boston Red Sox, and when they left Boston, I was like, holy cow, that is a really, really good team, and it's the right time to play the Braves. So they're going into Atlanta. I said, you want to go in hot, facing a hot club to see where you're at. And they got swept by the Braves and hit the ball really good against that staff that I was bragging on. I will tell you this, the Braves are the best team. I love Snit. I love everything about this club. And I'm going to tell you right now, they do everything well. And they went through their injuries in their starting staff. They've lost Max Fried. We've seen the Soroka situation. We've seen all this stuff go on. But one thing they've done, you never hear a peep about it. They go out and play the game, and they add, and they play the game. It's another opportunity. So my flip side is yes. Now, flip it around. I'll give you why they're not. All right, so hi, I'm Kevin, and it's a little weird. How you doing, Sierra? Thanks for facing me because I appreciate the attention.
It's your alter ego.
Yeah, you could also say this. The Astros might be the best team in the big leagues because they're the champs, and they're a team that's just kind of been hanging out. The Rays could be hanging out. They might be the best team, but they really haven't won anything yet. But they're the best team, and Kevin Cash, and they pitch, and they just do their thing, and you don't hear anything about this team, but they keep winning games. They don't lose. So it's a tough one. That was my flip side for the Braves, but I still think the Braves are the best team. So I'm sorry that was a little average.
Yeah, that was.
Flip it around.
I don't even know if that was average. It might have been below average. It might have been sub 200.
You're right.
Yeah, Braves lead the league in average slugging, extra base hits, OPS. They're the best.
First inning runs.
They're the best.
Yeah, what do you say?
Yeah, they're the best
Snit.
right now. As we mentioned, the Padres are looking to complete a sweep of the Angels tonight after some struggles. So my question is, will the Padres turn things around in the second half?
I think this is the question. I'm going to tell you why they're not. I've been sitting here waiting for this team to be really good, okay? And they frustrate me because I can't put my finger on why. Okay, we sit around, we see them on paper, we see their salaries, we see, okay, Bob Melvin, a wonderful manager, and this team's put together, and they're starting rotation, and all this stuff, Hader in the bullpen, and then you come out, and for 81 games, or this first half, we have sat here and played Ring Around the Rosies, which I like to call Tickle Bunny. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it, but it seems like there was no, gas pedal. So in my opinion, I've given this team a lot of length on this rope, and they haven't done it. So I don't know. I'm going to say I don't think they will flip this thing around. But now as we flip, please.
Is this Keith Miller's answer now? Not Kevin Millar?
This is Keith Miller's answer. This is not Kevin Millar. It's like when I talk to my kids, it's Dad or do you want Kevin? I'll give you great Kevin advice because I've lived it. Okay? Or do you want the dad where you're disciplined, the phone's gone, and the truck's parked? End of story.
Ooh.
Keith Miller says this. I look at this club now. They've played great against the Angels, and now all of a sudden you got little momentum. Manny Machado's starting to hit. He's the leader. You got Juan Soto that we've talked about. He's starting to hit the last month. Yep. Blake Snell's in the top 5 of the ERA with just above a 3. You're looking at a club that if they do get a little confidence in Fernando Tatis and all these boys and Josh Hader, yeah, they can become the best team in the big leagues. So give them some time because it's not an 81-game schedule, Kevin.
No, it's
This is a 162-game schedule, Kevin. So, yeah, they will turn this around because after the All-Star break, everybody can take a deep breath, hit the beaches. Just take your family out and let the kids play ball. Sit back, relax, and then show up and it's time to post up. So, Kevin, I think they will flip and turn around. Thank you.
I still think that Kevin had the more compelling argument over Keith. Padres 10 games out of first place, 6 games out of a wild card spot. Now, our pal, JP Morosi, took to Twitter Tuesday to say that some teams are interested in the Guardians' starting pitchers. Shane Bieber. The Guardians might not move any of them, though. So my question to you is, will they?
All right, I'll start with Kevin. I think they will. And if they're smart, they will. Bieber becomes a free agent in 2024, okay? That being said, this is where it gets interesting because we've seen trades happen all the time. We've seen them go through, and I remember the Heathcliff Slocum deal back in the day where they got Derek Lowe, a left-handed sinker ball pitcher, he was a righty, and an overweight catcher in Jason Varitek, which he was in tip-top shape. So they ultimately help and contribute to the World Series championships the Boston Red Sox won. That's one example that I lived. Shane Bieber, 100%, I need this guy in my rotation. So this is where I get creative. I don't have to wait for the deadline. I know the Indians are one game out. I know this division's a little bit spinning the wheels. And if the White Sox get hot, they might win this division because it's crazy like that and things happen weird, right? So they can get weird. I would go out and get some offense. I'd get some prospects. Shane Bieber's a perfect guy to kind of let him go out there and see what happens. I still think they can compete.
Okay, Keith.
Flip it.
You're up next.
Keith, there's no doubt, Kevin, that they shouldn't trade Shane Bieber. Why? Because you just talked about what's your job to win the World Series. So if you're Terry Francona and Mike Sarball, the great Mike Sarball, nobody ever mentions, let me tell you, this is a guy I need to have on my staff because in the postseason, I got to have him match up with everybody else as number one. Who's going to match up with Justin Verlander? Who's going to match up with Max Scherzer if they got to the postseason? You're saying, well, right? So you need that guy, and that slider plays and that stuff plays. So no, I'm not trading him. This division's wide open, and we're trying to win the World Series. Kevin?
Okay, fair enough. Cleveland is just one game behind the Twins in the AL Central, though it wouldn't be unlike the Guardians to trade starting pitching, and to add to other areas of their club, right? Now, speaking of starting pitchers, the Dodgers continue to deal with a bevy of injuries in that department. Clayton Kershaw has the injured list with inflammation in his left shoulder. Dustin May is undergo season-ending elbow surgery. That's later this month. So the question is, can the Dodgers withstand their starting pitching injuries?
Yeah, this is tough. I'm going to start with Kevin.
Okay.
I don't like what's going on there because that's been the strength of this club is kind of putting all this depth and length. You had Goslin back there a couple years ago, like the guy didn't lose for the first half, and you had Urias as a young kid. You had Clayton Kershaw. You had the Dustin May prospect coming up. So in the last 5 years, he hasn't pitched more than 10 games in a season. It's alarming, and I feel terrible for him because I was asking Clay Buchholz about that flexor, and Tommy John just went through, and now something in here. So there's some stuff. Clayton Kershaw, he is a warrior when he's on the mound, and there's stuff when he's not on the mound. So you got back, you got shoulder, whatever it is. Walker Buehler will be back in September. But this is a strange transferring year for the Dodgers because it's like it's kind of like they've been in second place, they've been in third place. The Giants are better than they were last year. They're back 2 years ago when they won 103 games. You got Arizona and Torey Lavelle, your team, the Diamondbacks, because you're from Seattle, you're from Arizona, you live in New York, you've been everywhere. You've been in Utah, you've been everywhere, right? You're a traveling young lady, and that's why you're so educated. So I look at this as a problem for the Dodgers. If I'm Kevin, because I grew up a Dodger fan, listening to Scully. So this is one of those teams, they got to get creative, and Andrew Freeman's the right guy, but there is some issues. Flip it, please. Hi, I'm Keith Miller. This is what I'm going to tell you. And by the way, I could run back in the day with the Mets. I played second base, and that was my agent, ironically. Keith Miller, yes, and the Levinsons. My point is this. This is a team that they are the beast in the West. So they are fine, and they will figure it out because that front office will figure it out. They have a plethora of a pocketbook, and that's when you add these kind of players is that you go out, they got a great farm system. It seems like they win Rookie of the Year every other year, and they've been doing that since Mike Piazza was a 62nd round draft pick and Tommy Lasorda's great grandson somehow like there. My point to this equation is they are the beast, and they're the team to beat. Still, with all of these injuries, they got a couple boys club on that offense, and Mookie Betts and the boys, they know how to win.
Wow, that was a very compelling argument on both sides. I felt like you actually believed that one a little bit more.
Yeah, I do, because I'm a kind of a true Dodger fan. My dad's out there, my mom's out there, and they bleed Dodger blue.
That's why I felt the passion when you said plethora.
Dave
Finally,
Roberts,
Braves prospect Joe Dunnan his 13th homer of the season down in AAA on Monday night, and his uncle, Alex Rodriguez, was in the stands to take it all in. The highlight is great, but can we focus in on A-Rod? Are you surprised that he goes with the hardwire headphones as opposed to the AirPods?
Yeah, that's amazing right there. It's a great question, and I'm Alex's uncle, so it's a great question. So Uncle Kevin talking to my nephew Alex, because I had him out there. We were out there in the Midwest League when he was with the Appleton Foxes and way better than everybody at 18, and then he got called up. He still owes me $20, but he gave me a nice ride to Philadelphia, so we called that even on the show jet. Alex, Uncle Kevin would have a couple pair of those wireless things in your pocket because you do run out of battery when you're on your phone a lot, so I understand what those are. Those are battery proof, and you only got to worry about your phone. And if that's charged up, you have that. But it was surprising, pretty funny right there. Excuse me. And I'd have been in the front row, by the way, if I was Alex, because I'd bought the team to sit in the dugout.
For sure. So are you hardwire? Or are you wireless, Kev? What's your preference?
Funny? I'm a speakerphone dude. I don't like all that stuff because you know me. I don't like the phone much, anyways. I'll throw it up for 10 hours and go mow. But I'm this guy. Da 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 ba 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 ba. I don't like all that stuff in my ear. Now you see me on the conference call. It gets a little weird because now that new little site that you come on, you could be have your shirt off, and then all of a sudden the video's on immediately. You got to hit end. Or the golf course, I might be saying like, no, I'm really working right now, and I'm out there trying to 3-putt on the 17th green because we've got $60 bet. So, you know, I don't like that camera stuff because it gets weird sometimes.
Kevin was shirtless in our morning meeting this morning on Zoom. What about Keith? What is he like? Is he a hardwire headphone guy, Keith?
Yeah, Keith's going to have the Bose system, the noise reducer, so in case it's windy, you always do that on the airplane in case you don't want to talk to the person next to you, right? So I'm like, oh, yeah, go Sox, okay. Oh, no, what? Well, yeah, attention, yeah. Sierra? Yeah, I know, she's hot. Well, she just wants your phone number. Because if it's a good-looking guy, I'm always looking out for you, right?
Thank you.
You know that. I'm like Chuck Woolery, the love connection. So I always kind of look out for you. I want you to have a nice man, and that's what I've been trying to do. So Keith is definitely
Keith is on the lookout. Keith's my wingman. Thanks, Keith. You know, I just came into like 2023 a couple months ago. I finally got a pair of AirPods. So I was hardwire for a very long time. I understand what A-Rod's doing. I was old school. It felt nostalgic for me. By the way, they came back like into fashion last year anyway. So whatever you decide to do, just please don't do the speakerphone. That's so like old man, Kev, and it's annoying for everybody around you.
All right, help me. You're right, help me, and I'll get you a seat on Alex's on his plane when we go to the World Series this year.
Thanks, appreciate that.